I had the great pleasure of being invited to Logically's second event, LogicCon, in Columbus, Ohio, the week of the 15th of October, 2024. Logically is a managed service provider, but a very large one. I've also had the great pleasure of being acquired. I was the first MSP to be acquired by Logically. So I feel like I'm really part of the community still, a part of the family still. But I went on site. They had a great event. I set up the podcast booth. I had a lot of great conversations with the staff of Logically, with some vendors that were there, and some other people. It was a great time. I'm humbled and thankful that I got the opportunity to do that. The following is one of the conversations at this great event. I want to thank Logically for letting me do this. I had a great time. Thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word, discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission? How do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision, growth through learning from others. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
And tell me about Network Escalation. We're here, of course, at Columbus, Ohio for Logically's LogicCon event, their second event. And what are some of your goals here, Rob?
Goals for today or
The event.
The event, just to socialize and network with our customers. A lot of customers I've worked with for years and never have the opportunity to meet them in person. So seeing them in person is exciting.
It is exciting. Yeah. What attracts you to information technology?
What originally attracted me to it was the thought that I couldn't do it. And that drove me to pursue a career in it because there's a challenge to it.
And you have no technical background?
Prior to initially beginning, almost 15 plus years ago, no.
Wow.
One day I had a computer. The NIC went bad in it.
The network card.
Previous wife, she said I would never be able to fix it. And I said, challenge accepted. So I just figured out what the problem was, fixed it. I was like, hey, you know what? This isn't too bad.
So 15 years ago, was it a white box? Or was it a...
It was an old compact.
No, it was a compact. So you opened it up, you removed the NIC from the motherboard, put a new one in, installed the drivers, and away you went.
Exactly.
Wow. Not too good, because we didn't have Google back then to show us a video.
No. It was just, all right, I went to the local PC tech store.
Yeah.
And was just kind of narrowing it down and talking to the associates there, and I've got this problem, and I'm not sure how to figure it out, but I can't get on the internet.
Right.
So then they directed me to the NIC hardware, and went from there.
And so now you're in charge of network escalation. So a client has a problem, a business has a problem, and they submit a ticket to Logically. We have this problem, we can't do it. And if an engineer can't figure it out, it gets escalated to you. Is that generally the course?
That's generally the course. We do have a bit of a tiered system. So if NSC 1, they can't quite figure it out, they'll put a buddy request into NSC 2. If NSC 2 is not sure, then it'll get an escalation. Sometimes, depending on the urgency, the level of the customer needs, it may just go straight to escalation.
I see. And a typical, it could be anything from small to large. Could it be a security
It
breach?
could be a security event. We don't use the word breach. We like to use the word incident.
Incident, okay.
We have an incident that we need to investigate, and so I'll, every once in a while, join that panel.
And then at which point you're very familiar with your tool set. That's a really good point. How do you go with selecting a tool set, your vendors?
So typically in most of our escalations we're dealing with sonic wall firewalls. So I've been working with sonic wall firewalls for 10, 11 years. And I'll go through the basics of looking at the logs, looking at a packet capture, and go from there.
So you get it down to that level and figure out what the issue is.
9 times out of 10.
That'll do it. And Sonic Wall's here. They're a great company.
They are.
I talked to Turin yesterday. And what is something that, what keeps you up at night?
When I have an escalation and it hasn't been resolved the same day, I'm constantly thinking of all the different avenues and directions that we need to go. Try to narrow down the right solution.
Huh. So Logically bought my MSP. I was the first MSP they bought in 2019. So I do a lot of consulting with MSPs, and there's 3 things that keep them up at night. I wonder if they'll be surprising to you, Rob. First is security. They're worried about their clients, because usually it's a human that's letting these viruses in, so they're worrying about their clients getting a virus. 2 is human capital. If their technicians leave, how are they going to replace them? How are they going to get new technicians? And then 3rd is just growth. Usually they're tech-led. They don't know how to grow well. PE has infused a lot of money. So how are they going to grow? Do you think those 3 things ring true?
I believe yes.
Yeah.
From recent events that I've been dealing with, I would say yes, they hold very true.
And so what are some of the general technology, computer usage hygiene that people should exercise to avoid getting security incidences?
Well, from my point of view as an escalation engineer who's strong in networking, number 1, you wouldn't be surprised by how many people still have terminal services wide open, or they feel that remote gateway is a secure option. I know we talked about MFA the last 2 days, and we'll continue to talk MFA.
Multiple factor authentication.
Exactly. So it's a must. You can't go without it. Keep yourself secure.
Has MFA ever been breached?
There have been security events with MFA. I recall one where they were able to kind of clone and disguise themselves as the MFA, and they would have the customers put their information back into a text message. So I do recall that as an event.
But it's rare.
It is rare, very rare.
And simply closing RDP ports and just ways that outside people can get in is just generally a wise thing.
Yes, it's general best practice. Even in today's society, everybody wants a VPN. Okay, we're going to close off remote desktop. We're going to go VPN, but VPN is constantly under attack. So having that MFA is a good way to prevent outside intrusion.
Virtual private network is a VPN.
Correct.
Yeah. And is that generally at the hardware level or software?
So there's multiple options. So for me, on a daily basis, you're dealing with the firewall handling VPN, or we have a VPN concentrator, such as Secure Mobile Access from SonicWall. And now we have the cloud Secure Edge. So this cloud Secure Edge, you don't have to install any hardware. Well, let me go back a step. You might need to deploy a virtual Linux server as a connector, but SonicWall is really building up their product. They've got 7.12 firmware, so you can use the firewall as a connector. So you don't have anything to install. You just need to enable it.
Is AI going to help you?
AI is a very good tool to use. Myself, when AI first came on board, I was hesitant. But
why?
I believe in you need to know what you are doing, not just doing what you're told. To me, a lot of people will put that information into AI. They don't know exactly what they're doing, but the AI told them to do it, so they do it. It should be used as a tool.
And even as it matures, you still share that same...
I still share the same, but I've definitely been using it more as a tool and cross-checking. So there's been a few incidents where I've searched something and I can tell that it's not for the product that I'm working with, it's for a competitive product. So then I gotta dig in a little bit deeper and identify the way that our product handles.
What motivates you, Rob?
Oh man, that's a very good question. I would say customer service. I get joy out of fixing people's problems. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something with myself.
And does that permeate into personal life too? Just helping people, solving the issues?
I would say yes.
Yeah. And has it always been the case?
No, younger self probably wouldn't say that.
Right.
Over the years, you kind of develop that and you kind of understand. I will say, going back when I was in school, I never looked at how much money I could make. I had a number in mind. That number today wouldn't get us by. But I didn't want to be income driven. I wanted to be driven by other items.
So given that motivation, helping and solving problems, how do you measure success?
For me, day to day, if I'm successfully helping others. So I'll take, for example, what I enjoy as an escalation engineer, about 90% of my day really is helping the others identify what route they need to take. So NSC1 or an analyst, maybe an NSC2, just giving them direction.
Yeah, it's very, is what you do when you approach these kind of problems, are you, in your mind, are you more art or science?
I would say there's science too.
Yeah, you're more of a science, I feel. Yeah. Yeah, you want some concrete ways of figuring out how to solve the problem.
Exactly.
Is there ever an artful way to do it? Do you ever have to kind of think of a different solution to get there?
Oh yes, absolutely. So you'll take someone, we'll talk, because VPN's a hot topic, right?
Sure.
ZTNA, an SMA 100, SMA 1000, or a CSE. You got to identify what might be best suited for that customer. Same with the firewall. So if you're dealing with Sonic Wall Firewall, or hey, you might suggest a Fortinet in this case. Same with AV. Is silence a better approach, or Sentinel-1? It just all depends on the customer needs.
What should small businesses understand about having a help desk and how to use them and how to not over abuse and how to treat a help desk? What should small businesses do more?
So I haven't worked help desk in many years.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I have the best answer for that. Understanding a ticketing system and how to submit a ticket, that would be one that I would foresee.
Sure. Actually, how to get the problem to the actual engineer.
Exactly.
Is chat a big thing now? Are people using chat?
We use chat, but we don't usually have chat between customers. Like we're not using, I don't have direct teams through most customers. There's a few select customers that I have day-to-day communications with that I will send a Teams message to. But 90% of the time, if we're using Teams, it's because we set a Teams meeting up.
Is there anything in the last month or so, Rob, that you changed your mind on?
Oh, I'm sure there is. That's the thing about technology. It's constantly changing.
Yeah.
What work today may not work tomorrow.
Right. So you thought technology or something would work a certain way and you changed your mind on it.
Yeah, I would say a good example of that for today would be EPC and ZTNA. Your trust policies. That trust policy you originally had in mind might need some tweaking.
Wow. And how you're so well focused on 15 years in the industry and solving these problems and escalating, how does that permeate into your life work balance? Do you find yourself solving issues a similar way personally?
Yeah. Troubleshooting. Go through the old OSI model. That same
the
concept.
OSI levels. Yeah. It's an interesting way of doing it. Do you have any artistic outlets at all? Music, painting, drawing?
No. As far as my extracurricular, like what I like to do, I'm into fitness. I finished my first sprint triathlon this past summer. I've been doing CrossFit for about 6 years. Before that, I was doing powerlifting. So I've always done something athletic.
Wow. So the sprint's like a 0.5 swim?
It was a 400-meter swim.
Yes. And then how long was the run?
The run was just a 3 mile.
3 mile. And then the bike?
The bike was a 10 mile.
10 miles.
There's a lot of inclines, so it's a little shorter distance than a typical sprint. From my understanding, what I was told from those who helped me.
Is that right? And how did you like doing it?
I really enjoyed it. I want to do another sprint, but so that was a pool sprint. So there's 8 lanes, you go up and down the lane, go under the rope. I want to do an open water
Right.
sprint before I continue to try to do a triathlon. So the funny thing is, I've had the idea of doing a triathlon for probably about 6 years when I
Wow.
first started CrossFit, because I said that I told the coach I'll never do a CrossFit event, but I was doing them. And then one day I was just thinking, like, man, I wonder if I could ever do a triathlon. And I just thought, no way. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to do that. And then it just stuck with me. And this year I made a determination, you know what? I'm about to be 40. I want to get it done. I want to do it. And just pursue it.
And did you always know how to swim, or did you get somebody to train you?
I did not know how to swim.
Yeah,
Like, I
me
knew
either.
how to swim, like, you know, I jumped in the water.
Above your head, yeah.
But man,
A real way, the real way, yeah.
from one lane to the next,
That's
coming back up, learning how to breathe in the water, that was the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I've done a couple triathlons too, and yeah, I feel that I could swim forever, but just slow.
Right.
Right. I know. I understand now. You come up, you exhale underneath, and I understand it. But those people that swim for so fast, it's amazing.
I'm still working on slowing down.
Right. That's the problem.
And breathing.
Right.
Because I still struggle at 400 meters.
Yes. 400
400
meters. How many back and forth? They're 50. Right. They're 50. Well, it depends on the size of the pool.
25. Well,
there's 25s?
The YMCA that I go to is a 22 meter.
I see.
One way. So
yeah,
it's about 16. I think.
You're right about that. Yeah, laps. Yeah. And then of course the bike. You got yourself a good bike.
Yep, I've had a bike for years, and I think that's what kind of started it. Because before I started CrossFit, I had bought a road bike. And I would go to a lot of the parks. Cuyahoga Valley National Park is one of my favorite parks to go to here in the Ohio area. So I would go out there on the weekends. I would ride. I worked up to 50, 60 miles. That's definitely where the idea came from. Triathlon. If I'm doing this much biking, because I always wanted to do the Ohio to Erie bike. I haven't done it.
Right.
That's where everything factors in it.
You know, I was doing CrossFit for a long time too, and then when you go over to triathlon, it's just 3 events you're training for. Whereas CrossFit, it's memory or muscle confusion. It's different every time.
Right.
So were you able to make that transition?
So I've now stopped CrossFit. I enjoy that. What I enjoy about CrossFit is the fact that it is consistently different and changing.
Yeah,
I
it's
get
great.
very bored.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I mean, the problem is that a lot of it's time driven. So you go quick and then you lose form. You got to kind of pull back a little bit and make sure you don't, because it's always those last reps where you end up getting hurt.
Right.
And so I started my MSP in the 90s, and I was working way too hard, 14, 16-hour days. Got myself up to 340 pounds, just eating poorly. Doctor says to me, if I don't lose the weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. So scared the hell out of me, right? So took the next 6-7 months, started doing CrossFit, started doing triathlons. I was 130 pounds, kept it off. You can't look at it as a finishing line. You got to keep it off. And people want a quick answer. How'd you do it? And there's no quick answer. Discipline. That's how I did it. I got a routine. I got habit. I got focused. How does discipline play a role in your life? Rob.
Oh man. So I would say because I've always been in athletics, it's my mental getaway. So when I don't work out, I feel terrible. So
I know.
The biggest thing that I run into is with my partner and my kids, because I forced them to come along with me, especially my kids when they were younger. All right, we're going to the gym. You're going to sit here. I'm going to get my workout in. They would get upset with me. 6 p.m. is when my workout is these days. So my lady, she knows not to bother me. She knows where I'm at. And anytime that, I will say when work ties in and I'm on the verge of missing that 6 p.m., I start to get a little agitated.
Yeah, it's kind of tough walking in. I used to do it early in the morning. I get it out of the way. And it was just tough getting up and going and walking in and doing it. It's tough. But when I walk away from that gym, man, I feel so good.
Yes.
Your body rewards you. It's just, yeah, that's why you keep going, and you're almost 40. You're worried about, keeping your form, not getting hurt.
Right.
And it's so tough, especially CrossFit. It's so demanding, I play a lot of golf now and things like that. And if I hurt myself and can't play, I'd be really, really upset, you know? Really appreciate your time, Rob. Great talking with you today. So if any small to medium businesses in the area, greater Columbus, Ohio area, actually logically is all through the country.
Yeah, we're a nationwide company.
Yeah, nationwide. It's a great MSP. They should contact Logically and work with them and maybe get some of their tickets escalated to you.
Absolutely.
Rob, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Oh, thanks. Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.